Hi all, just a quick video on placing your photos and maybe putting a drop shadow on them. And then the other thing is if you wanted to have a white border on them as well. And just, I suppose, the different kind of ways you can place them. This is one that I have going across two columns, and the third column the text is in. This one is just going across the whole page, and you can see here how it would look when it's printed, that this one went out above or beyond the bleed line, so that when which is where it'll be cropped, so when I click here, you can see how it would be cropped there. Just one thing to be aware of is within your photo you have this little kind of circle within all the images. You can see it. That moves the photo within the frame, if that makes sense. So I suppose it's easier to see it if you're on this view. So I've decided that I want to have a little bit more of the top part in my picture. So I click into the center and I can just drag it down. Okay, so it's within the picture frame. So it depends how big your picture frame is. So say for example, I'm just going to click on this one. If I had decided that this was to just go over one column rather than two columns, but I wanted the other part of the image in it, I can click into here, and within the frame, within the frame, sorry, went too far. If something like that happens, you just click here, you'll see where it's gone. Oh, I can't even see that. I'm going to say edit, undo. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Hopefully it'll work this time. Now I can also use my little move tools over a little bit. Go a bit slower this time so it doesn't go flying off. Okay, so you can see the end of the photo and you can see that working. So sometimes you might want to use a portion of your photo rather than the whole photo, so you would use this method where you can bring it in, but you can bring the sides of it in, and then you can fit the picture within it. Okay, so I'm just going to go Command Z because I don't want to do that in this. And we'll go all the way back to the way it was before I did that. Okay, so let's have a look at placing them now. I'm going to come down, click on my pages, and come down to the next page. And I think I might just put columns in this as well. Let's set this up like I set up the other one. So I'm going to have maybe picture across two columns here, and then one filling the whole page on this one. So what I will do is, if I click on pages and I'm clicking on this one I'm going to put the columns on, and I then click on properties. So it's going to be the properties of the pages now, because I've picked pages, and I'm going into properties, and I'll say edit page. Then I can go into margins and columns, and I just want 3 columns there, and I'll say okay. Okay, so I kind of ran through that a little bit on the other video, so you see where the columns can go. Okay, so I'm going to place my pictures now. So we kind of looked a little bit at 2 options. I think the first week I was looking at this one, the frame tool. So I can just put it here, and I have kind of the options, kind of the size and stuff. Now, if it was quite important that this filled exactly, say, the safe zone here, all right, and then you would go File, Place. Don't know if you remember this, File, Place. And I'm just going to go into my desktop where I know I have some more of those photos there. Just have a quick check before I drag it in. What does it look like? Okay, so I'm going to drag that one in. Just check because I have some of the horse ones. Okay, so I'll drag this one in. So I'm going to say open, and it goes in there. So it goes in and kind of fills the whole thing. If I come up to object and fitting, and we'll go just run through these to see how they change it. So fill frame proportionately is it's kind of trying to fit within that frame. It's trying to fit the photo in as much as it can. Now, if you have a look at the photo itself, I keep my finger pressed down here. The photo itself is landscape, and I've given it like a square shape, you know, kind of shape. So it's kind of hard for it to fit. It's like round peg, square hole, whatever it is, or round hole, square peg. So it's trying to fit it. It can't. I could decide that the horses are the most important. Remember I was saying about that circular bit to move it over. So that's one way of using that if you weren't going to use the whole image. So what I could do, say for something like this, is I could decide that I was going to put a little bit of text here maybe, and that this image here would fit across the two, and then I would put the full size of the image over in the other one. It'd be like a small version of it and the big size version of it this side. So I'm going to try that maybe with this one. I want to have, so I've moved it in. I've decided that that's kind of the most important. If I click here and I just move it around, yeah, I think like having the horses shown. So I want to give it like a frame. Now it's going to be quite hard to see what the frame looks like when I'm straight onto white, but I just want to show you what this kind of type thing, how this works. So I'm going to go to properties, and I'm going to go to stroke, and I'm going to say that I want a white stroke, and I'm just going to shove this up to 4. I'm going to go a bit further. Let's go up to 8. And then I'm going to right click back over it, and I want to go to effects, and I'm going to go to this drop shadow. Now if I had like a different color behind it, if it wasn't white, but I'm going to leave this one as white, then the drop shadow or the frame would probably show up a lot more, and maybe I wouldn't need the stroke would show up a lot. I wouldn't need to have a drop shadow, but I do with this because otherwise you don't. Now, yeah, sorry, you can see it now. You wouldn't know that there was a frame there. So the drop shadow depends where you want to do it. I'm just going to move these around. You see how the shadow moves? Kind of usually nice around there. And this is the size of the drop shadow. If you wanted to make it a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. Okay, make it a bit smaller, and I'm just going to change the angle slightly on it. There, and just going to opacity, sorry, I was looking for that. So I want that to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to bring it down to, I think, 50% and have a quick look. And just making it a little bit lighter. So it looks quite strong there. Sometimes you find that's to do with the blending modes of it. I think I normally have it on multiply. I'll have to check on one of the other ones. Now it looks a bit lighter there this time. And I'm just going to say OK. Let's have a look at it this way. And you sorry, that is probably still a little bit strong compared to one of the other ones. I just want to check the time before that I would have had, which is here, and come into this one and just check the shadow on that. So again, right click over it, go into effects, and looking for a drop shadow. So that one, 56% opacity on that. I suppose the angle might have been slightly different on that one. Okay, so you see how those work. Anyway, come back down to this one. Now it's a bit big because it's a shadow on it, so I'm going to click onto it and might just have a look at my columns bit again, and going to keep my finger pressed on Shift and Command, and I'm going to drag it down to make it a little bit smaller. See, the whole thing comes with it, and move it around a little bit. Okay. And it's still kind of within the column size. Now, if I want to put text over, I on this part here, I'm sure you remember, you click on T. I'm going to draw my box out here because I kind of don't trust sometimes if I put it straight on to the white, sometimes it unfortunately kind of blends into the background. I'm going to say type, fill a placeholder text, and then I'm just going to drag that over here. Okay. more placeholder text. That's quite small. Fill with placeholder text. Yeah, sorry, more has gone in. Okay. I'll have a look at it this way. Okay, so you can see sort of how that would work. You might maybe want to make the frame a little bit bigger. The border, my border at the moment is, let's just check in our stroke. So that's, remember, the border is a stroke that it's at. This at 7.44 points. I'm going to keep going up a little bit further, and you can see the white coming out a bit further on it. Okay, I'm going to leave that one, and I'm just going to place it as a full image into the other side now. So clicking here, I'm going to get rid of these. I will actually, sorry, in a minute, come back to this one and just have a look at the other options, which I forgot to do here. I'll do another photo about the fitting options if we are using place. So over on this one, I'm not going to use the placeholder text. I'm just going to place the photo. So remember, the placeholder text went in here. I'm going to place the photo in here. Placeholder text is really if you're setting something up where you're considering to put images, or whether you have a very specific space that you have to fill. With this one, I'm just going to fill it with a photo. So one thing I did earlier in one of the other videos was I put some photos into CC libraries. So CC libraries here, it means that the photos you're using for your book, you might pile them all in here. In the video, I just dragged them straight into the space. I made the name of the library, and I also have my color scheme there as well. Okay, so I'm going to drag the image. Interested to see what this image looks like over here now. So I'm just going to click it and drag it over, and a bit like when you say file place and you're not using the placeholder text, I'm not pressing down, I'm just moving my mouse around, and it's kind of stuck on my mouse until I click and drag. It's going to stay on my mouse. It's like sitting on my mouse. So the minute if you don't do that, it'll end up filling your whole screen kind of with the image. Whereas if you just drag it over and take your time, see where you want to put it. So I want it to go slightly above the red line. I want to go into the corner and then click and drag out. And I could have done making that a bit further back so I could see exactly where it was going. And I'm going to leave go. I'm just going to close this for a second and we'll have a look. Okay, so I didn't quite make it. It's not quite big enough. I'm going to say Command minus so I can see the edge. And then I'm going to use Shift and Command press together and drag on out. So I'm still keeping my proportions. I'm not wrecking anything on it. I haven't gone quite far enough there, so I'm going to Shift Command and drag out a bit further. There we are. Okay. Have a look at it as it would be printed or would be viewed. Now, same thing as the last time. I would like to see more of the horses, so I go into the center, like into that circle, and it drags it within the frame. Okay, and there it is. All right, so that's just, I suppose, the two different options.